All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. One of the things that is kind of cool about doing these via Zoom, because I used to do them in person, and I used to go and hang out with the band that I was interviewing, and at their jam space or their home or wherever, is that like I feel like I can not only do more episodes this way because it's a lot easier time wise for me not to travel halfway around the city, but I'm also kind of filling in some blanks over the past year and a half of artists that I really should have had on the show previously, and there's no reason why not, but it just never happened. So this is definitely one of those episodes. I think that I've known your music for years now, and for some reason it just never occurred to me. Like, I mean, I've had Ian on talking about different projects like three times at least, and it just for some reason I never thought, oh yeah, we should do this episode. But now we're here, we're doing it. I'm glad you guys can make it, and I think that the best way to start this off is if the two of you want to just introduce yourselves and maybe give a bit of background about the band, because I know you have new things coming out, but you've also been around for quite a while in the city.
Yeah, sure. So I am Myron Dean. I am in the Noble Thieves. I am the singer in the Noble Thieves. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm Riley. I'm the guitar player in the Noble Thieves, and yeah, we've been a band. I think we're doing the math not too long ago, and it's like 12 years or something like that.
Wow.
Like, and then with the mostly core lineup a decade. So we've been doing this thing for a while. And, yeah, it's fun. So yeah, new stuff out, but a lot of great memories too. I mean, man, we toured all over North America. We toured England and France, and we really lived the life for a number of years there.
Yeah.
And now we're more of that hometown band that's putting out music for the love of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I mean, I guess like I said, I've known about you guys for a long time. I remember seeing some of your really early shows with one of your early lineups, and obviously things have changed sonically and member wise and all that since then. But it just seems like every time I hear you, every time I see you live, it just seems like it's honed even more. Like you see, which is a good thing. I mean, most bands should hopefully strive to that. But you seem like you've gone from like young guys who are sort of trying to figure out what to do with soul music or reggae or any of these genres, and into like this really tight, really kind of well-oiled machine putting out these R&B tracks and these soul tracks. And so what has I guess what has worked with the current lineup? Why did the four of you now that, like you said, has been around for the better part of a decade, what works with the four of you to kind of have that tight groove and be able to just have that really polished sort of I don't want to say professional, but soul definitely lends itself to a professional kind of vibe a lot of the time. There's a rawness, but there's also kind of this really like tight and in the pocket sort of thing. How do the four of you work together to make that sound and make that image, I guess?
I feel like a lot of the times people tell you that you need to do things a certain way. When it comes to writing, and when it comes to like just like producing the songs, I feel like, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Riley, but like I feel like probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we just kind of said, you know what, whatever we feel works, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
So sometimes Riley will come with it. Like there's been times when Riley's come with a song, and sometimes there's been times when I've come with a song. There's been times when Ian's come with a song. At first, it was very much like, oh well, I don't know, I don't want to give this up because I don't know if it's no longer going to be mine. So I don't want to. I want to make sure that it's good enough so that my stamp is still on it. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, Riley, but like at least from my perspective, and I think now where we're at, especially in the past few years, like and just in terms of just there's no egos. We're just like, man, we just want to like make music, and somebody will come with a song, and sometimes it'll be like a chorus and a verse, and then it'll just like pick up, and then all of a sudden like people are throwing in ideas, and it's very organic with the way that we put things together. And once we have it good enough, we just start playing it. Unfortunately, over COVID, we didn't really get to play much.
Yeah.
So it's just like, for lack of a better way to put it, it's just like whatever works, that's what we're gonna roll with, and that's kind of what we've kind of been doing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And writing even like really simple pop songs is like really hard. It takes a long time to get good at that. And even for myself as a musician too, like it takes a long time took a long time for me to get any good at guitar, and I was on stage with the Noble Thieves long before I was any good at guitar, any good at songwriting.
Well, weren't you the bass player originally? Were you playing bass
Yeah,
like in an early
that's
version of the
right.
band? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So before I had any kind of chops, I was, playing festivals and playing like some of those rowdy early gigs and stuff like that. And we've all just cut our teeth by doing it. We're not not in the basement. We've cut our teeth by doing it, traveling and playing. And then also, I mean, speaking to that tight R&B soul sound, these last few years, we got this guy named Sandy Fernandez, and he's a beast on the drums, and his feel has taken us to new levels as well, for sure.
Well, and you've had a few different drummers over the years too, right? Probably 3 or 4 at least by now. I mean, it's got to be hard to find someone who really suits the sound.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had Tim Jones was our original drummer, and then he was our manager as well. He's with Pipe and Hat there.
Yeah.
And he was our drummer until we got too busy to we started touring and stuff. He couldn't keep up with it and be a manager for a bunch of artists. So then we got Joel Armstrong in for a number of years, and he's a beauty too. And now we're on to Sandy, and he's he makes me a better musician for sure because he just knows his stuff. He's just
cool.
in the pocket.
You can't really just you can't mess around. And one thing that's really great about Sandy is because just his level of proficiency is pretty high.
Yeah.
Like our ability to just workshop things at a rapid rate is just it's crazy, I don't think that as a band, and this is to his credit, I don't think as a band we would have been ready for him 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. So the timing worked out. You guys are at the point where you could use someone like that to fill it out. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, totally.
Where does this band, I mean, I know that the pandemic has thrown everything out of whack for everybody as far as, being able to play shows or even rehearse in a lot of cases. But where does this band fit priority wise with all of you? Because I know that most of you are in other bands. And obviously there's got to be some difficulty in sort of coordinating everyone to, even without a pandemic, to get together and rehearse and write and all of that. So, I mean, is this sort of the primary band for most of you?
Yeah. I do play in a few bands, but this is the thing. This is like that lifelong musical project.
Cool.
We just at the end of the day, we came together really wanting to make music, and that's pretty much all any band should really want to ever focus on.
Yeah.
Image and playing big festivals and all that sort of stuff, that is kind of ancillary to the core of what it is, and you're just really trying to make a really good product that you can stand behind, that you feel proud of, and that you really want to show people. And that's really what it boils down to. It's no different than any other creative medium, Witchpolice radio. You want to put out a good product, and you want to put out something that you really stand behind, which you do. And it's just that's just really what it boils down to. And that's all we're trying to do here.
Cool. Do you feel at this point, after all this time together and playing music together, do you feel like this is kind of the it's a weird question because I hope you feel this way, but do you feel like this is kind of the point that you should be at by now? I mean, are you comfortable and confident in sort of the sound that all this time you put in, all this touring, all these shows has kind of come to this point now, and where you're ready to release new music? And do you think this is kind of the peak so far of what you've done as a group?
Yeah. Let me put it this way. We were touring, and we really wanted to be big and get big, and we wanted to do all those things. But I feel that sonically we're so much better, and Riley's in another band called Bowlegged.
Yeah.
They're kind of alt country. Would you call it alt country?
Yeah, I call it cosmic country.
Cosmic country.
Psychedelic.
Yeah. And I just noticed when he really when that band, when he really started to like sink his teeth into that, some of the stylistic elements of that band really started to permeate into his playing
Cool.
over on the Noble Thief side. And I've even told you this in practice. I've been like, yo, man, like you just in terms of your abilities and like your I want to say like your sensibilities and your taste, it's just gotten so much more refined. And so like, I mean, yeah, like everybody wants to blow up overnight. Everybody wants to do that. But like with a band, it takes time.
Of course, yeah.
And there's no real way to get around it unless you have a bunch of like hired musicians and you have a bunch of songwriters, and you have this veneer of an image, and the whole thing is just like a house of cards and a facade. You can do that, that'll work, but it won't be authentic, it won't be genuine.
It won't be good either. It won't be good for the listeners. Won't enjoy it probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say I have no doubt, like musically, that we are kind of hitting our peak, and like this new stuff that's going to be coming out over the next little while. I just really proud of it. Really happy with it. If I was talking to like 21-year-old touring Noble Thieves Riley,
yeah,
and said, oh yeah, like I have a day job now, and I'm putting out music, with the boys, but we're mostly sticking to Manitoba and stuff, I might have been disappointed at the time. But if 21-year-old Riley listened to the tracks that are coming out now, he would be blown away.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just to kind of touch on what you're saying earlier about those country influences slipping in and other stuff like that, I almost think it's kind of an easy definition is to call you a soul band, but there's definitely more going on than just strictly the soul influence. I mean, and soul itself as a genre pulls from so many different places as well. I mean, so do you say that you're a soul band? Is that sort of how you describe yourselves, or do you have a better way to define it that covers sort of all the bases you're touching on?
Well, we call it rock and soul, I guess. That's how we always usually kind of brand it. But I mean, soul music encapsulates so much. I mean, the way I look at soul music is a lot more than, Motown. It's this whole ever evolving kind of wave of music, from blues to hip hop. And there's just so much fantastic stuff in there, and we draw a lot of inspiration from all eras of soul music.
Has that helped? Has it helped you as far as getting on certain shows or especially touring? The fact that maybe you can be seen as a soul band, but you have the rock side of things. You have all these other elements coming in there. Has that sort of made it easier for you to fit in maybe unusual bills or with bands that wouldn't necessarily work well with a straight ahead soul band?
Yeah, definitely. And I'd say we've shared more stages with rock bands. I think maybe to some like soul, like classic soul purists, we might not be soul enough.
Right.
We've really made it kind of our own thing over these years. So, but I mean, we've played with some incredible soul bands too. But we might not be like necessarily what you expect when your first kind of impression of a soul band. Yeah.
Well, I do want to get to the new stuff in a second, but just to stay on this for just a minute here, what has the experience been like? I know you've toured pretty extensively, playing shows in places where soul comes from. I mean, you're in the States, you're in some of these parts of the country where soul is like the indigenous music basically. It came from those cities and things like that. And you're from the prairies. You're bringing obviously your own style to it. What is that experience like being someone from Winnipeg playing this music that has its roots, and you're sort of in the motherland for it?
I mean, for the most part, you go to some of these places and you can't help but be a little bit of a tourist. You can't help but be like, oh my gosh, look, that's where that happened. This is where that happened. But then you start to realize, you're like, man, this heyday was 50 years ago. And like a lot of the people that you're talking to and a lot of the people at the venues that you're playing, I mean, yeah, they have a semblance and an idea and identity with it, but it's not like they're looking at you like, oh, you're not from here, you're not. So like, I mean, as long as it's coming from a place of authenticity, like soul music has expanded to, and rock and roll music has
Yeah,
expanded, and it's had so many iterations, and it's had so many like permutations that like, I mean, who's to say where anything comes from anymore? I mean, you got the
that's a good point.
source material, but you know, good music is good music. So if they like it, they're down with it. If they
Yeah.
don't like it, they're not down with it. And
I
take
like
a
what you said
step.
about authenticity, though, because I think that comes up on the show all the time. I don't know why, but I think I just forced it into conversation. But the idea that I think that the best music, no matter what genre it is, whether it's soul or punk rock or hip hop or metal or anything, right? If it's authentic and genuine, you can hear that coming through, and that makes it good over any kind of technical ability, because you can feel that the person is, they can have a one string guitar and can be screaming, but if it seems honest and it seems like this is them delivering some heartfelt music, that's soul music as far as I'm concerned. Like, it's not genre wise, but anything that kind of comes from the heart and is truthful, I think is what works as a form of soul music. And I mean, you're doing something obviously that's more specifically genre wise soul music, but I think you're right that, yeah, that authenticity of it is going to come through regardless of where you're from or what your background is or anything like that.
Yeah.
100% for sure.
It's like a lot of the times you can pick up on it. Like even for us, there's been songs that, we've written from a third person perspective.
Yeah,
And, like, yeah, you're still jazzed up about it, you're still feeling it, but you don't get the same sense of self when you're
sure.
like performing it. And so you don't get over time, you don't get as jazzed up about it. I feel like really good music, it has to be authentic. It has to have some sort of like personal element to it. Pretty sure like John Lennon even said something crazy about like you write everything in the first person. You don't write in the third person because it's not authentic. It's
Well,
just not.
you have to be very good to write to the third person to make it sound authentic. I think you have to be
It
an
is. It
exceptional
is.
songwriter, right?
It's still like I some of my favorite songs, they're third person,
Yeah,
and they are very authentic. A lot of hip hop. When you listen to a lot of hip hop, um, a lot of it is storytelling. So
mm-hmm.
a lot of it is in the third person. Sometimes switching between the third person and the first person. You know, but like at the end of the day, what it really boils down to is like, is it coming from an honest place?
Yeah.
And yeah, like I feel like these two songs, um, this song that we're coming out with, Super Glue, I feel that it's deeply authentic. Riley came with it. He didn't even have a title, and he played the song, and I remember it was like we all were really jazzed up about it. We were all really jacked up about it, and we started playing it right away, and we hadn't really even gotten it to its final form. We were so excited about it. So like I'm really excited to share it with everybody, and yeah, this final form of what it is, and yeah, it's been a really cool ride.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
When was the last time that you put anything out? I feel like it's been a while, and not just because of COVID either. I think that you've like, what was your last full length out? It's been a few years now, right?
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Because I was listening to it the other day, and I remember looking at the liner notes, and it was even longer than I don't remember what year it was now, but it was,
2014.
yeah, it's been a while, right?
2014.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what was that, just a factor of, life getting in the way and people's other projects and work and all those things, or is that a deliberate sort of break between releasing new music now and having that come out then?
Well, a little bit of both. I mean, we've put out a single, I think 2019
Right.
would be like our last release. But yeah, I mean, I can't speak for everybody in the band, but I don't know, like an album, a full length thing, like, is that something to do? I don't know. We did that thing because we were getting funding to do that thing, doing the grant thing, doing the music industry thing. and I'm really proud of that record. But man, like we're just approaching things differently now. We're doing, it's a very DIY thing we're doing.
Yeah.
And because of that, there's not always money to record 14
Of course, yeah.
songs, so you got to pick the two best ones. And I mean, a lot of records only have two good songs on them.
That's true.
I echo the sentiment that Riley has completely.
Yeah.
I'm like fully aligned on that.
I was going to say too that, you know, since 2014, if that's when that was, things have changed considerably just in the way music's consumed, even in that short amount of time too. I mean, like you said, that the idea of just, you know, sitting down, recording an album and releasing that in the traditional way, people still do it, of course, but it's not necessarily the way that people are consuming music. And that's only in the last few years, really, that things have changed so considerably. So I assume you have to take that into account when you're preparing to release anything at this point in time.
Yeah, though I'll never write off like a full length album, because when I do think about like some of my favorite pieces of music, it's these classic.
Yeah, totally.
Albums. Yeah. I think they do have more staying power. So yeah, would love to do another full length. Got to write some songs. Got to get busy.
Right. You have two, right? Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know, it's sorry. What did you say?
No, it's okay. Go ahead. I'll go back to you in a minute.
No, like, you know, a lot of the times, like full lengths, some of my favorite, a lot of like Riley's saying, like you listen to some full length albums and they're masterpieces. You're like, this is amazing. But I feel that doing a full length album for the sake of doing a full length album is not where anybody should put their energy into. Especially now in this day and age where of curated playlists and, you know, short attention spans. It's just like, you know, when you get traction off of a certain sound, then yeah, go a little deeper into that and explore that. But like, I mean, unless you have like crazy backing, I don't see the advantage for any artist to have like maybe an EP.
Yeah,
you could definitely have an EP, 6 songs. I feel like that's a nice like digestible amount. And the thing is, what anybody wants is somebody to go once they get to the end, they go, oh my gosh, I want more. I'm gonna go back and listen to this whole thing again. I want to hear this whole thing again. That's what you want. Back when like LPs were like big and people were listening to like actual records, people would put a record on and they'd wear that shit out. They'd be like back and forth. You hear so many stories of people like, oh man, I wore that record out. I listened to that record like 100 times.
Yep.
And I had to go and get a new one because it was so worn out. And that's just not the way people digest music anymore, unless it's something that they really, really love, but they are anticipating that it's coming out, and they're anticipating, and they're already drinking the Kool-Aid. They're like hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm definitely one of those people for physical media for sure. Like I still haven't figured out how streaming works or any of that stuff. But I realize that I'm a dinosaur now. And especially, you know, as musicians, you guys have to sort of navigate. This is the way people, especially younger people, consume stuff now, right? They're going to be on Spotify. They're going to be listening to playlists that other people have curated. And it's just, it's a totally different environment.
It really is. It's like, I have Apple Music and I also have Spotify. I'm not knocking Apple Music, but you can tell that there's like a lot of like money in the promotion of the right artists. So like the curation of Apple Music compared to Spotify is just like, it's like kind of night and day.
Okay.
Like it's just like, I feel that down the line, I feel like there's going to be another player that's going to come in and just kind of maybe take everybody's lunch, just because there's just so much music. When you think about like just the breadth of music that is out there, sometimes I get kind of mad and sad that there's not really a platform to really like find it all. You know, it's you have this like platform that's this huge, amazing tool. It's like all of the songs that have been recorded for like the last 50, 60, 70 years, they're all on your phone. And as long as you just know what it is, you can look it up. But sometimes people are like, I don't know what it is. And
How
then
do
so
I
you're
find it?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so you're relying on these algorithms, and these algorithms are becoming more and more what's the word I'm looking for? They're they're being they're being misconstrued, and they're not being used in the to their full potential, I feel.
It's interesting that I know I just said that I don't know how to use streaming, but we do have in my house. My wife and my kids use this Spotify, so we have one of those Google Home things where you yell
Yeah,
at it
yeah.
and get it to play music. And so like a few months ago, our basement flooded, so all my records had to be moved out, and my tapes, and my CDs, and I had to listen to this Spotify thing. And so I realized as I was working, I was just telling it to play stuff, which was cool. But I played like two or three bands every day, the same two or three bands over and over again. And it's like I have all this access to anything I want to hear, and I'm picking these records that I have, physical copies of right there, and I'm not reaching out. So yeah, you can get stuck in a hole, I think, in your little
Yeah.
pocket of music that you like and you like, and then never really go beyond it.
And the algorithm's just gonna ping you back, oh, you liked this.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just like direct you more into the exact same thing
Yeah.
that you like. You end up in a bit of an echo chamber where you're just kind of like running along the same track.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I'm pretty eclectic in what I like in terms of music. And I feel like Apple Music like is just like, I don't even know what you like. Like I'm just gonna throw some top 40 at you and see how this is gonna land.
Yeah.
Hopefully you pick something, because you're kind of all over the place.
Does it help having this long history as a band when it comes to people listening like that? Or are you sort of at the same level as all 500 million other people now who are releasing music? Because getting found is still hard, even for an established band, right?
Yeah, like I mean, we have people. The good thing about us is that we have people who have seen us and heard
Yeah.
us. We've been a lot of places, and so if we happen to they happen to come across our name, they're gonna at least give us a chance, right?
Yeah, it'll ring a bell
So
to them.
like,
Oh yeah, I saw those guys 3 years ago or
and
whatever. Right? Yeah, yeah,
exactly, and hopefully we didn't offend too many of them. uh, but yeah, like it's just one of those things where yeah, I wouldn't say we're not at the same level, but I mean, I feel like we definitely have a couple of check marks where we can be like, oh well, because it happens to you probably, Riley, all the time. People come up to you and they're like, oh yeah, you're in the Noble Thieves. Like sometimes I've only like I like it hasn't happened in a few years because I haven't left the city, but like every now and then I'd run into somebody outside of the city
oh cool.
that like be like, oh yeah, I saw you just ran just it's like totally random, happens a lot in a lot more in Winnipeg, but like yeah, like I feel like people still remember our names and remember who we are. Just because we haven't put anything out for 3 years doesn't mean that people just immediately forget. People always
Yeah,
think that people have very short memories, but I mean, if they like something, they're gonna remember it.
yeah, if it made an impact, for sure it's going to stick in. Even if they forget the name, once they see it again, it'll be, oh yeah, those guys. And I mean, you guys have a pretty strong live show every time I've seen you, so that's got to help too, to kind of get yourselves wormed into people's brains, right?
Yeah, I think so for sure. And yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, all these places, and I mean, especially in Canada, built some followings in other cities and stuff. So we always kind of have, a familiar kind of audience that
Yeah.
we're putting stuff out for. And then yeah, I mean, in terms of putting out stuff out to streaming and stuff, yeah, it's probably just about like in terms of reaching new people, it's about the same as anybody else. There's no barrier to entry whatsoever. So you have to, just like believe in what you're putting out there. And I mean, yeah, and then I mean, we have had, of course, lots of like radio play over the
Yeah.
years and things like that. So I am hoping, like, by the time this interview's airing, the song's getting some good plays on CBC and stuff like that. Some of the places that have historically played our music. So we do have some inroads there. Hopefully, they're
Yeah, that
paying off
helps.
right now in the present.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, if someone's listening to this right now, when the day it comes out and they want to check out your new music, what's the best way to do that? Where can they find you online to sort of follow what you're up to? Maybe find out if there's shows in the future, because it's a podcast. Someone could listen to it the day it comes out or a year later, and maybe by then you're playing more shows. Maybe you have more music out. What's the best way to sort of find? Like, is there a hub for you online that people should go to?
Yeah, absolutely. The noblethieves.ca is where you'll find all the stuff. You'll find the Super Glue video. You'll find Spotify. I think we've got all our full lengths on there and live videos and all this stuff. Well, that's the hub for sure. And you go to noblethieves.ca and watch that video. Please watch the video. I spent like 30 hours editing it.
This dude's a beast. He was
it was
like,
a beast,
oh,
but
he's like, oh, I'm gonna just storyboard and I'll edit the video. We just need to get somebody to shoot it. I was like, oh, okay. You sure about this, Riley? He's like, yeah, I'm good. And then
no regrets. I'm really happy with it.
He straight did it. I was like, man, this guy's a beast. Like, he's a absolute A1 asset, like franchise player.
Thanks, man.
It's good to have in your band for sure. Yeah,
I appreciate it, Myron. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I mean, we've had we're DIY, but we've had the help of a lot of really talented people along the way.
Totally.
So we recorded Super Glue at Stereo Bus Recording with Paul Yee. He's a serious heavyweight. Our good buddy Kyle Monkman from SoundSmart mixed it for us. He's killer. And then James Hebert, great cameraman, came out and shot this video, which is basically, as you'll see, it's like kind of like a 90s Much Music rap video.
Yeah.
And,
right down to the logo, eh? You get very Much Music with it.
Yeah, I hope I'm not like in trouble right now.
You know what? Like, we were talking about it, and it's just like, man,
look into the legality of satirizing their logo. I think it is kind of sad.
You're probably fine. Yeah.
It's like a really old logo.
Yeah, like it's kind of funny because I remember when we were talking about workshopping, okay, what's the music video gonna look like? We all kind of landed on the whole Much Music thing, because like those days are gone.
Yeah.
When you would be able, like, I don't know about you, but I remember, like, as a kid watching Much Music, it would just be music videos back to back.
Yeah.
And like, you'd have like your favorite music videos, and like you'd like tell your friends, and you'd like emulate it as a kid, and like you'd be like all up in it like a dirty shirt, and like I kind of feel bad for like the younger generation, because they have that, but it's just so on demand. You don't really get the opportunity to just discover something. Something is always kind of a little force fed to you, and it's just like, I guess the same, it's being force fed on Much Music anyways, but like I just felt like it was a little bit more, the strokes were broader.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially it was just late at night. And it was just, that was the deal when we were young, like really young, and now we're really nostalgic for that. And I think a lot of people are. We've always been a band that embraces nostalgia, like whether we were playing old Trojan record songs, or playing like soul songs and soul music. We were always kind of basing it on the past, and this new project very much too, but just a little less far back.
Yeah,